स्वागत है आपका पढ़ती पथट पठंती यूपीएससी में, जहां हम सब मिलकर सीखते हैं।
Hello and welcome. So, is carbon storage a dead end? And how on earth did life's first building blocks ever snap together? Today, we're jumping right into the science behind the headlines. But we're not just reading the news, we're breaking it down and turning it into exam-ready notes specifically for your UPSC prep. The goal here is simple: connect today's news directly to your syllabus. So, here's what we've got lined up. We're going to tackle a reality check on carbon storage, explore a huge puzzle about the origin of life, and then decode green hydrogen. After that, we'll do a quick rapid-fire round, tie it all back to the syllabus, and, we'll finish with a really thought-provoking question from an administrator's point of view. Sound good? Let's get started. All right, first up, carbon storage. You've probably heard about this, right? It's often talked about as this silver bullet for climate change. But a brand new study is making us ask a pretty tough question. Can we really just bury our climate problems underground? Yeah, this headline from The Hindu really grabbed my attention. It's a bit of a wake-up call, to be honest. There's a new study out, published in the journal Nature, and it is seriously challenging some of our most optimistic ideas about storing CO2. The implications of this, well, they're pretty massive. So what are we even talking about here? Well, geological carbon sequestration. It's basically the idea that we can capture CO2 from, say, a power plant, and then pump it deep, deep underground to lock it away in rock formations forever. I mean, in theory, it sounds like a brilliant climate solution, but this new research points to a huge practical problem. And here's the kicker. Just look at these numbers. We used to think we had almost 14,000 gigatons of storage space down there. The new estimate, which is based on much more realistic models, only 5,000. That is a staggering 65% drop. This forces a complete rethink of any climate strategy that's banking too heavily on this technology. It's a huge deal. Now, for your preparation, this is classic General Studies Paper 3 territory. It fits perfectly under environmental conservation and pollution, and also under science and technology developments and their applications. This is exactly the kind of real-world issue UPSC wants you to be aware of. So, let's frame this as a potential mains question. Something like this forces you to think critically. Given these new, much lower capacity estimates, how should India adjust its climate strategy? Is carbon capture still a major player, or is it more of a niche solution? A balanced, critical analysis here would be absolutely key. Okay, let's switch gears. We're going from the future of our planet to the most distant past. We're going to tackle one of the most fundamental questions in all of science, one that has absolutely stumped researchers for decades. How did the basic machinery of life even get started? And a headline like this one is what makes science so exciting. It's hinting at a huge breakthrough. The research suggests there might be a surprisingly simple, direct chemical link between RNA and amino acids, the building blocks of life, which could solve this ancient mystery. You see, here's the problem. It's a classic chicken and egg situation. To build proteins, which do all the work in our cells, you need instructions from RNA, but you also need other proteins or enzymes to read those instructions and build the new proteins. So the question is, how in the world did the very first protein get made if the machinery to make it didn't exist yet? But this new study, it offers a really elegant solution. It shows that amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, could have attached directly to RNA in the watery primordial ponds of early Earth. No complex protein machinery needed. And what's really amazing is that this simple chemical reaction shows this uncanny precision, almost like it was meant to be. It's a plausible first step for life. Now, I know what you might be thinking. How is this going to show up on my exam? Well, this falls squarely under Science and Technology in GS Paper 3. And even though it seems abstract, understanding the importance of this kind of fundamental research is crucial. It's about the very nature of scientific progress. And that leads to a fantastic type of mains question, one that asks you to justify the value of blue sky research. How do you make the case for funding research into the origin of life when there are so many immediate, practical problems to solve? It's a classic debate, and you need to have a thoughtful perspective on it. Okay, from the dawn of life, let's rocket forward to the cutting edge of India's clean energy future. Our third major topic today is green hydrogen, a technology that is right at the heart of the government's entire strategy to decarbonize our economy. And this isn't just some abstract concept. A story like this one brings it down to earth. A new facility in Gend is actually going to produce green hydrogen to power a train. So this is technology in action, happening right now, right here in India. So how does this magic actually work? Let's walk through it. First, you use renewable energy, like solar power, to run something called an electrolyzer. That electrolyzer splits water, just H2O, into hydrogen and oxygen. The hydrogen gas is then stored on the train. A fuel cell on board converts that hydrogen back into electricity, which powers the motors. And guess what the only byproduct is? Pure water. It's a beautifully clean cycle. For the exam, this topic is just a gold mine for GS Paper 3. It hits on energy infrastructure, science and tech applications, and environmental conservation. And you absolutely have to link any answer on this to the government's flagship program, the National Green Hydrogen Mission. A really likely mains question isn't just going to ask, what is green hydrogen? It's going to focus on the challenges. The technology is amazing, sure, but what about the cost? The huge amount of renewable energy we'll need? Building safe storage and transport? That's where the real policy analysis, the kind UPSC is looking for, comes in. All right, time for a quick rapid-fire round. We've got 2 more interesting science stories for you. These are perfect little nuggets for your prelims notes or for adding an extra bit of depth to a mains answer. First up, the science behind a blood moon. It's all because of something called Rayleigh's scattering. You know how the sky is blue? It's for the same reason a lunar eclipse can look red. Earth's atmosphere is great at scattering short blue wavelengths of light. But during an eclipse, it lets the longer red wavelengths bend right around the planet and light up the moon, giving it that amazing coppery glow. Cool, right? And second, check out this fascinating climate connection. New studies are showing that when it gets warmer in North America during the summer, it can actually make the Indian monsoon stronger. It messes with global air circulation and basically pushes more moisture-filled winds our way. That's a fantastic point to have in your back pocket for GS Paper 1 when you're talking about the factors that influence the Indian monsoon. Whew. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground today. So let's take a second to consolidate everything and see exactly how it all fits together for your revision. This table right here, this is your key takeaway. Notice the pattern. GS Paper 3 is all about the impact of technology on the environment and our infrastructure. Meanwhile, GS Paper 1 is where you'll find topics on physical geography, like the monsoon. And look at that connection to a previous year question from 2013 on the green energy corridor. It just goes to show you that these themes are not new. They are consistently vital for UPSC. And let's end with this. Let's shift our thinking from being an aspirant to being an administrator. Because at the end of the day, it's not enough to just know the science. The real challenge is this. How do you balance the exciting promise of a new technology with its very real costs? And how do you make sure its benefits reach everyone, not just a few? Balancing that cutting edge of innovation with fairness and equity, that's the core of good governance. And that's the kind of critical thinking you're going to need every single day. That's all for today. Keep connecting the dots, and we'll see you next time.